Hello, welcome to our strange cable network TV show in our log cabin.
It's been a week and 2 days since I've seen you, I believe.
Yes.
We teach in the same MFA program in California, where you live, but I live here in Austin. Did you have a good residency?
I did. I'm still tired from it.
But so as soon as after the residency was over, you had like 2 days, and then you had your launch party.
The launch party in Pasadena.
Right.
And then I had my birthday. Then there was Father's Day. It was exhausting. And now I'm in Texas.
And you were in Houston last night.
And I'll be in Dallas tomorrow.
You'll be in Dallas tomorrow, and then you go back home.
Yeah, because there's only 3 cities that matter. There's only 3 bookstores that matter in Texas. This is one of them.
This is one of them. Well, I came with a bunch of talking points, and I won't use all of them. I've done a lot of stuff that I don't get nervous about. I'm just vaguely unsettled by this. Don't be. Has anybody here read this book yet? It's fantastic. And I liked it very much. And is this the book that you were originally calling
Choose Your Own Adventure?
Choose Your Own Adventure. So they changed the title, or you changed the title.
Yeah, all my books have one-word titles. All my novels have one-word titles because my first book was called Moist, and my second book was called Delicious, and my third book was called A Cheap Holiday in Other People's Misery, and my publisher was like, no, it's not. So this time I was really like, oh, come on, I did 5 with one-word titles. Let me have this one. And he's like, so they did an ad. They mocked up an ad of all my books with the one-word titles on it, and then I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. That
is this the last
pretty
book
cool.
Jameson did for you?
No, Jameson was not my editor on this.
Okay. Well, what's interesting, because we hadn't talked about that, but I was thinking about the Choose Your Own Adventure title, because I thought it was really clever when you were telling me about it, but it bothered me a little bit that because your fiction books only have the one-word titles. But
Except in France.
Oh, really?
They change them.
They change them. Is this sold in France yet?
Yeah.
What do they call it?
I don't know.
You don't know it. Well, I remembered it when I was reading this, and I thought that's actually a really good description for this book.
Yeah.
Because there's, I don't know, 4 intertwining stories.
5.5?
5.5. Yeah, you sort of lose track.
Yeah.
And people weave in and out of it. And and then I also thought Blown was a good title, because I counted, before I stopped counting, at least 10 sex encounters.
Yeah, but only one oral.
Only.
But it's not a book about that. It's more about, the idea for Blown is more about like how Odysseus is on, all great adventures start when you're blown off course, right? Odysseus, all these, every Greek story. So that's what it is. People think they're going to do something, and the winds change, and they're blown off course. And then might make bad decisions.
Might make bad decisions.
They do make some bad decisions.
Well, they make some decisions that are that kind of come out of the moment.
Right.
I don't want to give the book away, but the conch shell and the conch in the face, that seems to be a bad decision that comes out of the moment.
Accidents happen.
Accidents do happen.
It's actually hard to talk about the book a little bit because there's a lot of spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I don't think that spoils it.
Yeah, it doesn't spoil it.
It doesn't spoil
Some
it.
seashells are involved.
There are seashells
Not
involved.
in the sex scene.
And if you blow on a seashell, it makes a noise. If you blow on a penis, it doesn't make a noise.
Yeah.
Mark has a sort of a special place in my heart, whether he knows this or not, but he taught me how to write sex scenes.
You're welcome.
You gave me the best advice probably ever I've gotten about writing prose, which is don't purple it up, tell it straight, don't be coy, just go for it.
Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way. Your books are very funny, and is that the kind of approach you write when you're writing humorously?
Yeah, that's a good question. By the way, if you haven't read Hausfrau, her book, it's a really great sort of retelling of Madame Bovary. very sexy, and I take credit for all how good the sex scenes are.
You should. Because I asked Rob, and he was like,
that's a bad decision. I never try intentionally to write a book that's funny, right? I try to tell a story with characters that interest me and that I think are have some sort of emotional depth or kind of rich, and then it just turns out funny. I don't know how that happens.
Do you laugh at your own books?
I occasionally crack myself up, and then I think, wow, that could be dangerous.
Well, I mean, you should write the books that you would want to read, and I think that there's something to be said about making your own self laugh or making your own self cry. That there is that narcissistic line that you have to.
Yeah.
That's what a good editor is.
There's a great movie quote that, like, if you're making a comedy and everyone on the set is laughing, it won't play in the theater.
Really?
Yeah, and I always keep that kind of in the back of my mind. So when I think I'm being really clever, then a lot of times it gets cut. So.
Where'd you get the idea for this book?
I had the idea, that little scene that I just read, just the start of, I had that idea, came to me of just a guy adrift on a boat in the ocean, and I was just like, okay, how did he get there? Just ask a lot of questions, right? And so I always try to get a germ of it, just an image, and then you start asking questions, like how did he get there? What was he doing there? Why was he there? What happened? It's sort of like when I wrote Salty, I was in Thailand and I saw this guy who looked like a hungover rock star, dressed all in black, standing like waist deep in the water, like with a horrible hangover. And all I needed was that, and then I was like, okay, who is this guy? What's he doing there? Why is this happening? So it just kind of build it from there. It's sort of like making up your own puzzle.
Like choosing your own adventure.
It's like choosing your own adventure. It's making your own bad decisions.
I'm glad you brought up Salty, because I wanted to talk about that too. Because also, if you add your nonfiction books, it seems that travel and escapism to a degree, or reinvention, kind of weave a lot of it's your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's weird actually. Someone recently said, your books always take place on islands. And I hadn't really thought about that, and it's kind of true. I don't know why. No, because I grew up in Kansas, so they're different. I was surrounded by land, so I like to think about being surrounded by characters. No, there's a thing that happens with people who live on islands, that they have this insular culture. People all know each other. It gets really kind of intense in sort of an overheated way, but always about like really dumb stuff. And I like that.
Did you know much about the Caribbean before you started this book?
Yeah, I've been there a few times. I've been to Bahamas and Dominican Republic and Jamaica. And in the Caymans, one of the big ideas was, when I was researching the nudism book, Naked at Lunch, we stopped in the Cayman Islands. And so I went walking around, and I went to a building that looks a lot like this building, actually. But maybe it was 2 floors or 3 floors, but it held 600 banks. And I was like, that's interesting. They must be the world's tiniest little banks. And then I started looking, thinking more about like this sort of offshore banking and what that entails and how that could be part of the story.
We have a student who's from the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Do you know how I learned? She taught me how to say hello.
How do you say hello?
You say, hiya, daddy.
Hiya, daddy?
Yeah, how's your daddy?
That's good.
How's your daddy? But it is.
Yeah.
Are you, has this been optioned?
No, we haven't even.
You haven't even talked about that. Because I can definitely see this.
Well, I mean, this is not a spoiler, but there's a little person in the book who's a major character, and my film agent was like, great. Threw it in the trash.
Oh, that's too bad.
Peter Dinklage doesn't want to do it.
Can you talk about your experience? Because you wrote the script you've written lots of scripts, but you wrote the script for the adaptation of Salty.
Oh, yeah.
That got changed.
Sadly got called Gun Shy.
Have y'all seen this movie?
Yes.
Yes.
It's streaming.
Is it streaming now?
Yeah, it's streaming. It's available on Netflix and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. The story is basically Antonio Banderas is the star of it. And he's really quite good in it. But it's about a sort of a heavy metal bass player whose band breaks up and he's depressed, and so he's in sort of late middle age. He's got millions and millions of dollars, but he has no idea how to operate his life. Everything is, if he needs a can opened, someone opens it for him. And his wife is kidnapped while they're on vacation, and he has to. And the Homeland Security won't help her. The U.S. Embassy won't help him. I mean, so he has to try and figure it out on his own. And grows up.
And grows up.
And grows up.
Do you want to sing the song?
No.
Okay.
Teenage Ass Patrol.
Yes.
It's not in the book. It's a song I wrote for the movie. Yeah. The song is called Teenage Ass Patrol, and all you really need to know is the title. It's not.
It's really funny.
It is weirdly catchy.
But that book too, there's sort of like hijinks. I don't know if that's even the right way to say it, but a lot of
no low jinks.
Yeah, low jinks. No low jinks. It's all high, mid-range jinks. But a lot of stories that sort of people are chasing things, and there's a lot of chasing in this book too.
Yeah, I like it when, particularly in this new book, people, everyone thinks like if I just had $10 million, I'd be happy. And you see from like Tony Bourdain's Suicide, and money doesn't buy you happiness like you think it might. And so, but these characters don't know that yet, and so they're making a series of bad decisions based on this idea that if they just had this money, they could live the ideal life they wanted. They wouldn't have to work anymore. They could stick it to the man and sail away on a sailboat.
And you've never been on a yacht. Is this correct?
Not like the yachts in this.
Not like the yachts in this book.
I've been on a bigger sailboat. Yeah, I've been on a big sailboat.
But you don't know how to sail.
I can sail on a lake.
You can sail on a lake. How much research did you do for this?
Depends what section. Like the Wall Street part stuff, I really researched a lot because I had to figure out how to embezzle money from people.
You should want that on camera.
Yeah, well, I didn't do it. I didn't practice it, although my Bentley is circling.
Okay.
No, and I realized that one thing I realized about Wall Street, which is kind of great, is these people, you trust these people, they have access to all your money, and like Bernie Madoff or any of these guys, if they want to rip you off, they can, and it'll take you just a little too long to figure out that they did it in between statements, right? And so then I tried to figure out how to make that work. And then once I had it done, I enlisted a friend of mine who's an investment banker for a London bank, and he gave me a couple of tips, and then said he had to erase his browser history because he wanted people to think he had figured this out. And so I think that really works. So I did a lot of research for that, and on sailboats I did a lot of research. I read a couple of autobiographies of Laura Decker and Jessica Watson, they're both teenage young women who circumnavigated the globe by themselves.
That was actually, it's a character that shows up very immediately, Chloe, and I was wondering where you were going to go with that.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. No, I was just, the guy's adrift, someone's got to save him, so why not a woman circumnavigating the globe to raise money for breast cancer research? It just seemed to make sense at the time for me.
Well, one of the things that I also appreciated, you're talking about the investment bankers, they just want to fuck you over. You think of people stealing money, or these are multi-dimensional characters, and you're very good at sort of going beyond the cliche of, I think you play with that a lot. There's also a scene near the end where, the earth literally moves, and as they're moving the earth, and I thought that was also an interesting moment. But, all these characters, they have interesting lives that sort of, it's not their, the money is like the foil. It's like the other things that are sort of pushing them across the chessboard.
Well, no, any time, any good piece of fiction, or even nonfiction, you have characters that are real. That's the work of the writer. That's our job, right? Is to make these characters seem totally real. Like, oh, I wish I was friends with them, or oh man, I hope I never meet someone like that, or
Well, I think that's probably what makes it especially funny too.
Yeah, because you have to believe that they're real, and you have to care about them. And then when they're in a pickle, then it makes it more fun.
I want to discuss something that came up as I read this book. Yacht rock.
Oh, yacht rock.
Yeah. Do y'all know what yacht rock is? You do.
I just discovered it the other day.
I had never heard of that term before. You know what it is?
I do. I just heard it on satellite radio.
Okay.
It's Southern California soft rock, basically. Michael McDonald, late Doobie Brothers.
Late Doobie Brothers.
Hall & Oates.
I looked at your Large-Hearted Boy playlist,
yeah.
and I compared it to what I found online as the definitive top 10 of yacht rock songs. The Venn diagram kind of overlaps.
Not as much. I know. I was called out. I did this playlist there's a website called largeheartedboy.com that authors do playlists, like soundtracks for their books. It's just a goofy thing, and it's really fun. And so I just did, I'm like, yeah, yacht rock, and I made a yacht rock playlist. And then the guy who coined the phrase yacht rock called me out on Twitter, said I was an imbecile. And I put in some sort of modern groups, like tennis. But tennis, to their credit, they say we're writing yacht rock. And Torui Moi, they're writing yacht rock. And I say, let the kids write yacht rock. Let them in.
But y'all overlapped with Steely Dan and Hall & Oates and Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald.
Yeah. Well, those are the big guys.
Those are the big guys. And of course, sailing.
The whole point of yacht rock is you just want to you're sailing in your boat. You've got your Pinot Grigio.
Camembert.
And you've got your camembert and some crackers, and you don't want to rock out too much. You just want to be smooth, but you want to be a little upbeat.
I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Did you listen to it as you were writing the book?
I listened to XM Radio has a yacht rock station that I turn on just to annoy everyone in my car.
Okay, that's going to happen in my car soon.
It's pretty fun. And sometimes you're like, oh, that's a good song. And actually, like the Criss Cross song, Sailing, which is really horrible.
We prefer art music.
I listed it in a Large-Hearted Boy. I said it hits your ears like a wad of cotton balls soaked in soy milk. And I think that's the best description of that song. But Diana and I were in Lima last year in Peru, and this cab driver is taking us somewhere, and that song comes on, and he's like. And he turns it up, and we stop talking, and it's crisscross sailing, take you, and all that and stuff. And so we're just quiet. He listens to the whole thing, turns on, and he said, "My mother just died last year, and that was her favorite song." Aww. And he's like, then he wipes away a tear, and I just was like, so yacht rock, it's international, it transcends. Yacht rock transcends. That is a horrible song.
I was at residency. Alvin was at residency several years ago, and we were talking about Christopher Cross, and I don't know why, but when he left, he saw Christopher Cross on his airplane. It was very funny. He didn't want to be bothered. You took a sneaky picture of him, I believe.
Christopher Cross, just Christopher Cross footnote. His career was one of the few careers destroyed by MTV. Because he was a huge, huge star, not a particularly good-looking man. And once it was time to make videos and be like a movie star, people were like, "No, I'm not listening to that." And
well, he's not cool. I mean, you don't have to be gorgeous, but there has to be this level of.
He looked like Pete from accounting.
Yeah.
Now. People were just like, "No."
No, he's not cool.
Yeah.
That was the first song I played. That was the first song I played at MTV. Video killed the radio star, exactly. So he was the main victim.
He was the main victim.
So 4 out of 40 for old Criss Cross.
His career's never quite recovered. Is he still alive? Okay. Can you talk a little bit about swapping between two genres?
Between fiction and nonfiction.
Between fiction and nonfiction. We didn't even start out to be a novelist.
Right. I don't know what I started out to do. So. Guitar
Was
player,
it an
cool band.
investment banker?
No, that required math, and I'm not good at that. For me, so when I was researching my novel Baked, which is about the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam and people who grow the world's best cannabis, I went there to, because it's a tax-deductible trip to Amsterdam, but also to do research. And I met some of these guys, and they were fascinating characters. They were so interesting, and some of them were strange. They only wore hemp, and you couldn't talk about money because the plants would pick up on it. And other ones are just like really serious farmers. And I came back and I was telling my agent about it, and she goes, "That sounds like a nonfiction book." And so I put together a proposal and somehow convinced Random House to pay me to go back to Amsterdam and talk to these people.
You have the best nonfiction titles. Are you working on a nonfiction book right now?
I am. I'm starting a nonfiction book.
Can't talk about it.
It's
not the mime one, is it?
No, the mime one was a joke.
Would be
I mime. I go to mime school in France. And no. Because what if I was good at it? That's your hidden talent. And I'm like a mime. No, I'm working on a book about the history of pleasure.
Interesting.
Starting with Epicurus and coming on. I don't know where it'll go. I'll start on Monday.
Are you working on another fiction book? Can you write them in tandem? Because you're pretty prolific.
Because I kind of keep two things going. I've started another novel, but I don't, it'll be like 5 years before I get it done.
Okay.
I just appear prolific.
Yeah, but you do a good job of that.
Not really.
There's some really great lines in this book, and this is the one I think that snaps out as my favorite description. Piet had a unique relationship to women's bottoms. Not only was he a connoisseur of culo, an aficionado of ass, but he felt that women's asses communicated to him through signs and semaphores.
Yeah, he has sort of telekinetic ability. The asses talk to him.
That's hilarious.
Or he's crazy.
Well, he's also small.
Right, he's a little person. So he's at the right range.
At the right. I really love that line. And this is near the end. Well, no, this is further. Everything is shit and everything is beautiful.
Last line of the book.
Yeah. It comes up earlier.
No.
It doesn't? No.
That's okay.
I read it twice. I know, crazy. That's a great line.
I think it's twice in the same scene.
Okay, maybe that's it. I think that is in your writing a lot, and I think maybe that's what makes your funny writing fun.
Yeah, I try to have an appreciation for life and all of its varieties and craziness and stuff. I mean, I hope that even when stuff is sort of bad or like someone dies, it's all part of life, and hopefully there's a little spark of joyousness in the book that you take away. So the book is ultimately fun. I don't really want to. You can turn on the news if you want to get bummed out.
Are there any questions that I'm not asking?
We can see if these guys.
Yeah, I was going to turn it out and.
Whoa! Turn it over to the audience. Phrasing. Turning out is something different. I'll tell you.
Prepositions are huge depending on where you're from.
Words matter.
Words do matter. Turning it over. Questions? Yeah.
Do you have a discipline about the time of day or how you write, or you write when it comes on you, or how does that work for you?
I try to write in the mornings, and then when it's really going well, then I'll write again in the afternoon. It just depends, but yeah, I try to be disciplined and write every day. And then have lunch, take a nap, go to Pilates class. take another nap. It's a glamorous life.
How does it take you to write a book?
Really quick question.
Sure.
What bookstore in Houston?
I was at Brazos. Yeah.
Good bookstore.
Great bookstore, yeah.
How long does it take you to finish a book? Or a novel, actually?
Oh, you know, anywhere from like 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
Or maybe 2 to 4 years, and then you get into the editing process. Takes another year to working with the editor. So, yeah, it's not fast. It's not slow. It is what it is. I mean, books are slow.
Well, I'm trying to write a book right now, and since you, whether you realized it or not, helped me so much with the other one, I sort of am reading, when I was reading this, I sort of took some mental notes, because I'm trying to write a funny book, which is kind of hard. You're like, oh, I'm going to sit down and write something funny.
Right.
But, you know, when the first paragraph comes out and, you know, there's some absurdities in it, you know, trying to find that line between, you know, how I can push the envelope just to the edge of the table without sending it completely over. How do you find your limits? Because you skirt limits really well.
You just feel, it's all intuition, right? You just feel it. It's like, you don't want to, I mean, sometimes I'll do something and I'll think, wow, that's gross. And then I'll just turn it up to 11. Because if you're going to go for it,
you better
just
fucking go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was this, I read that first part I read here at this college in Virginia when it was still a work in progress, and I just was like, the very first line, he thought about drinking urine, and I heard this woman in the back going, oh! And I was really like, I could spike the football and walk away now. Like, it's done. You know, like
that's a really great opening line.
Just to get that kind of response. Oh, I would never read this book.
Other questions? Ask him any.
Yeah.
So you and Jill have known each other and worked together for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and since you've mentored her in her area of strength, which is sex.
I think mentored.
Okay, mentored, okay. Yeah, so if you two had to collaborate, what kind of project would you come up with?
Dirty nuns.
I knew it'd be something dirty.
Dirty nuns?
Yeah, why not?
And cats who lick them clean? Yeah, dirty nuns.
Okay.
Because I don't know anything about religion, so you can fill me in.
I'll look for that in 5 years.
Yeah, I could just see our publishers. Yeah, we've got a really dumb idea. And there's unicorns.
I appreciated also reading Dominate from the top.
I had to put that.
You had to put that in there. I was like, who was that? It was the Levi's people?
No, it wasn't the Levi's people. It was, so we sometimes share this hotel conference space with these weird groups that come in. Sometimes it's sad couples trying to save their marriages.
Which was this last time.
It was this last time. They looked so sad. And but this one time it was like these like super aggressive sales force
that's
thing.
what it was.
And they put a banner up that said, "Dominate from above." And so I was just like, all right, I'm using that before my other colleagues. It was a real race because we're all writers. Like, who's going to use it first?
We had these people there at one point too.
The denim leaders.
The denim leaders, right? But the best was the PIs.
The private investigators.
Right. Yeah, those were pretty interesting.
Sure.
I wanted to know, why do you write from a bunch of different characters' point of views? Like, you've always done that, and is that just the way you think, or is that, do you think it's the most interesting way to present the story, or?
Yeah, for me it's like if you choose to write in first person, you know, you limit what your character knows, and that's all you can tell the reader. And so that world can be very psychologically deep, but just from one perspective. And I like the kind of shifting perspectives, and then I especially like when enjoy when when like one thing happens and then 5 different people try to explain it or relive the experience, and it's so, like Rashomon, it's so different for everyone. And for me, a lot of comedy can come out of the tension of like all the misunderstandings.
Yeah, that's every Three's Company episode ever.
Exactly right. That's right. Or any love boat for it. So to keep it on the sailing.
To keep it on, that's right. You know, it's interesting because I was paying attention to that too, because I'm struggling trying to write a second book and wondering if I should just not and just stick with one book. But perspective is in a person and point of view has always been a difficult thing for me because, I think in poetry, it's very natural to use the first person.
Right.
And if you use the first person in fiction, I think a lot of times then you open the door to like, this is my story to tell. A lot of those conversations that people have right now. So, I don't think you realize what an influence you are on my writing and how I go to your work.
Well, yeah. Well, your novel was, if you haven't read Housefrau, New York Times, if you ever read the New York Times best-selling novel, Housefrau, it's really, really good. So.
Do you enjoy teaching?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Love it.
I like the health insurance.
I like writing grades.
Health insurance is good. No, we have some really great students who have been published.
Actually, I have another question. If that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the most common advice you have to give your students? I mean, you must see this repeated pattern of, oh, they're doing it again, oh, another one doing that. What is it?
Typically, when people are trying to write, they think, I'm writing now, so I must express myself in the most florid and verbose way. I must use the thesaurus for every single thing. So that when you open my book, you enter a liminal space. And blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
Did you find and they found liminal.
They found liminal. They'd actually sometimes like, do you know what that word means? It's like a threshold? Like, not like in the kitchen. Yeah. So the main thing is telling them just relax, tell the story, because novels, fiction is about emotion, right? It's about the emotional journey of the character. So if you're clogging the page with fancy words, where's the emotion? How am I going to get to that? You're just showing off, and I want to feel something from the character, and so that's the main thing. It's like yank the stick out of their ass and just tell the story. It's a lot of that.
Limectomy.
Most dreaded word?
Most dreaded word for my students?
Yeah.
That I tell them?
No, that you hate seeing. Is that what you meant?
Oh, I like all words pretty evenly. There's there's a couple words they don't know what the students use, they don't know what it means.
What?
I'm trying to think now.
Do you know, I have a hated word. It's interesting.
Interesting.
If you say something that, like, obviously we say it all the time, but if you write, that was very interesting. There's always like a better way to.
That was cottage cheese.
That was, exactly.
That was super bland. You should paint your house beige. Yeah, interesting. It's a cop-out, right?
It's a cop-out.
Yes.
I want to know how you thought about naked. How did it come about?
This is a sad story with a happy ending. So after I finished my book about cannabis, I really enjoyed writing nonfiction. You get to meet people, you get out of your house, you can travel.
Have y'all read his nonfiction stuff?
Yes.
You remind me very much of John Ronson.
Yeah,
you have
John
a very
Ronson.
similar style.
John Ronson's cool. So then I was going to write a book about this food that's going extinct around the world. I spent like 6 months on it. I made this big proposal, and my publisher's like, yeah, you're not a celebrity chef, so who cares what you think about food that's going extinct? Like, what else do you got? And I had literally a 300-word proposal about, it was just a note to myself, what about nudists? Maybe they do this. There's a city in France with a bunch of nudists. Nudists do this. And I just sent that to them, and then they bought it. So then I was like, oh, great. Now I have to go hike through the Alps naked and stuff like that. But it turned out to be really fun. Nudists are really interesting, man. And it has a good history. I like that. You have to have a good history. And interesting, sort of fanatical characters. because fanatics make the best characters.
They do make the best characters. You had a question back there.
This might be a tough one.
Matt?
Who's your favorite hero, 20th century nonfiction writer, and why?
Wow. That is a hard one because there's certain people who I like specific books by, like Beyond the Beautiful Forever by Catherine Boo, which is about this history of a slum in Mumbai. The book is heartbreaking and amazing. I'm getting goosebumps just remembering the book. Or William Finnegan's The Barbarian Days, a surfing memoir. I'm not a surfer. I don't even swim in the ocean because, it's dangerous. Sharks, for one. I'm from Kansas. But I really like Jeff Dyer's work. I think he's a great writer. Lawrence Osborne has written some great books. He wrote a great book on wine called The Accidental Connoisseur, because he was like, why does this bottle cost $600 and this bottle costs $6? It tastes kind of the same to me. And so he goes out to try and figure that out. And that book is great. So there's a lot of really, really good nonfiction stuff. It's really hard. And that's also subject dependent, There's a really long, non-specific answer to it.
I knew it was a tough question.
I wish I could just say, like, John Wayne, that's my cowboy.
That's a great line. That's my cowboy. Just be delivered in so many ways. Any other questions? No.
No?
Well,
I was going like, well, I don't think the store's closing pretty soon.
We have
Is that true? We should wrap it up?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. But we have a friend in common, and I was telling him that he was writing notes about you this weekend. I guess because your book came out.
Speaking of fanatics.
And he's kind of a fanatic. Just a couple of questions. Y'all had a 24/7 game of tag?
We did in college, yes.
Okay. For how long did that go?
Too long. Went on for a really long time.
And you started it?
It was a group of us started just you're it, and then it got more and more elaborate. People just like laying in wait to surprise you in the weirdest possible, like, why are you in my closet? Tag!
Yes, he said it got scary, people hiding behind bushes.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, that's crazy. And let's see where it was. He said that he was kind of actually in love with you a little bit. And that you were a good friend to him when you brought him on the show.
He was very shy. He was a poet, very shy. Religious.
And he also wrote you into a scene in this story that he just published. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen it.
Would you like to hear it?
I think we're short on time. We just have to wait. Because remember, this is going to go on YouTube, and we don't have rights for that.
We don't have rights for it. Well, let me know and I'll read it. It was from when you were in a band.
Oh dear. Thank you all so much for coming. Further questions? I'll be signing books and chatting over there.